The baby was a boy, and it was everything a baby should be, with bright eyes, a funny tuft of hair, and a button nose and interesting ears. Not only that, but the little prince could whistle before he was a month old. Not proper tunes, but a nice peeping noise like a young bird. The queen was absolutely besotted about her son, and the king was so happy that he thought he would burst. And all over the island, the people rejoiced because you can tell very early how a baby is going to turn out. And they could see that the prince was going to be just the kind of ruler that they wanted. Of course, as soon as the child was born, there were queues of people around the palace wanting to look after him and to be his nurse. Wise women who wanted to teach him things, and sirens who wanted to sing to him, and hags who wanted to show him weird tricks. There was even a mermaid who seemed to think she could look after a baby, even if it meant she had to be trundled round the palace in a bath of wheels. But although the queen thanked everyone most politely, the nurse she chose for her baby was an ordinary human. Or rather, it was three ordinary humans, triplets, whose names were Violet and Lily and Rose. They had come to the island as young girls and were proper trained nursery nurses who knew how to change nappies and bring up wind and sieve vegetables. And the fact that they couldn't do any magic was a relief to the queen, who sometimes felt she had enough magic in her life. Having triplets seemed to her a good idea because looking after babies goes on at night and day, and this way there would always be someone with spiky red hair and a long nose and freckles to soothe the prince and rock him and sing to him. And he wouldn't be startled by the change because, however remarkable the baby was, he wouldn't be able to tell Violet from Lily or Lily from Rose. So the three nurses came, and they did indeed look after the prince most devotedly, and everything went beautifully for a while. But when the baby was 3 months old, there came the time of the opening of the gump, and after that nothing was ever the same again. There was always excitement before the opening. In the harbour, their sailors made the three-masted ship ready to sail to the secret cove. Those people who wanted to leave the island started their packing and said their goodbyes, and rest houses were prepared for those who would come the other way. It was now that homesickness began to attack Lily and Violet and Rose. Homesickness is a terrible thing. Children at boarding school sometimes feel as though they're going to die of it. It doesn't matter what your home is like. It's that it's yours that matters. Lily and Violet loved the island and they adored the prince, but now they began to remember life they had as little girls in the shabby streets of North London. Do you remember the bingo halls? Asked Lily. All the shouting from inside when someone won? And Saturday night at the Odeon with the bag of crisps, said Violet. The clang of the fruit machines in Paddy's parlour, said Rose. They went on like this for days, quite forgetting how unhappy they had been as children. Teased at school, never seeing a clean blade of grass, and beaten by their father. So unhappy that they'd taken to playing in King's Cross Station and been there when the door opened in the gump. They couldn't go through it fast enough. I know we can't go up there, said Lily, not with the prince to look after. But maybe their majesties would let us sail with the ship and just look at the dear old country. So they asked the queen if they could take the baby prince on the ship and wait with him in the secret cove. And the queen said no. The thought of being parted from her baby made her stomach crunch up so badly that she felt sick. It was because she minded so much that she began to change her mind. Was she being one of those awful drooling mothers with who smother children instead of letting them grow up and free and unafraid? She spoke to the king, hoping he would forbid his son to go. But he said, "Well, dear, it's true that adventures are good for people even when they are very young. Adventures can get into a person's blood, even if he doesn't remember having them. And surely you trust the nurses." Well, she did, of course. And she trusted the sailors who manned the ship and sea air. And everybody knows it's terribly good for the lungs. So she agreed and had a little weep in her room, and the nurses took the baby aboard in his hand-woven rush basket and its lace-edged hood and settled him down for the voyage. Just before the ship was due to sail, the Queen rushed out of the palace, her face as white as chalk, and said, "No, no, bring him back. I don't want him to go." But when she reached the harbour, she was too late. The ship was just a speck in the distance, and only the gulls echoed her tragic voice. That brings us to the end of chapter 1. I hope you like it so far. Bye.